So nice to see you. It's been a week, and we are back ready to reconnect with soul, with spirit, do a little bit of singing before our service begins. Even though you're on mute, I hope that you'll join with us. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Try that again. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. La la la. Ya la la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya 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 la
Because it just rolls along, and even if you can't really always sing on pitch like me, you still can create wonderful melodies by just singing la la la. And we'll do another one of those in a moment, but wanted to share with you a song that caught my eye this week. This is by the very well-known, famous Israeli singer from a generation or two ago, Naomi Shemer, who wrote Al Kol Eleh, which is a prayer of gratitude. Thought that on this Shabbat after Thanksgiving, it would be a wonderful opportunity to just focus on those things we are grateful for. However, what's interesting about this song is that she's not only writing how grateful she is for all the good in her life and in the world, but also she's expressing gratitude for even those difficult moments. Al hadvash v'al ha'oketz is the opening line. Dvash, you may know, is honey. So we are thanking God for the honey, the sweetness from bees, but the oketz is the sting. That's the part of the honey that we don't always recognize, but it's just as important that we have those experiences in order to experience the sweetness. The honey and the sting. Al hamar b'hamatok. Mar is the word for bitterness, like on Passover, we have maror, that's the bitter herbs, and matok is sweetness. So it's trying to recognize that life is made up of both. There are sweet moments and there are bitternesses as well, and we are grateful to live in that world. Al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamatok, al bitenu ha'tinoket shmorei li ha'atov, al ha'esh ha'mevoeret, al ha'mayim hazakim, al ha'ish hashav ha'baita min ha'merchakim, al kol eleh. Al nata
You're just joining us, we thank God for the sweet moments in life. We thank God for all of life, even with its many moments of bitterness. Let's do another nigun, that is a melody with no words, as we get closer to 8:15 and 6:15 and the beginning of our service. Lai, lai, lai. Very simple. Hope that you'll join with me. Lai, la, 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 la.
Shabbat shalom to you all. We are so glad that you are here with us on this day after Thanksgiving. I think as different as it has been this time, one of the things that I didn't think ever would happen on Thanksgiving is that we would have all of our clergy here together on Thanksgiving. Usually it's a time that somebody would be off and about. So we're so glad that even though it had to be this way, that we have Rabbi Jordana and Cantor Aviva and Rabbi Brett here with us. So it's wonderful to be here together, to have this gratitude in this moment to be together. Also, thank you to our staff, to Amber and Matt and Stephanie, who are here with us, making sure that this all works out well. But of course, the gratitude also goes to each of you who are joining us today in the time when we need to gather together to be a part of a community, even if it's through a computer screen. So thank you for being here with us for this Shabbat. And in order to get our Shabbat going, it is customary, of course, for us to light our candles and to say our kiddush. So I am delighted and honored to welcome Kara, Mike, and Ruth Berg-Ronick. Are you here somewhere around?
We're here.
I saw your
We're
name.
here.
Yay! Hello. Hi, Ruth. So we are honored that they are here to share with us the candle blessing and kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Okay, and the wine, you ready? Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava ratzon himhilanu zikaron lema'aseh Bereshit Ki hu yom tehila lemikraye kodesh zecher letziyat Mitzrayim Ki banu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim.
Everybody.
Thank you so much for sharing the blessing with us and sharing your family with us as well. From the compilation, Your Word is Fire, the following intention has often intrigued me. It goes like this: enter into prayer slowly. Do not exhaust your strength, but proceed step by step, even if you are not uplifted as your prayer begins. Give close attention to the words you speak. As you grow in strength and God helps you draw near, you can even say the words more quickly and remain in God's presence. I'm not sure why I thought about this selection as I was starting to prepare our Thanksgiving dinner yesterday, but it came to mind. And as I thought more about it, I thought about myself preparing for a big meal. But this was certainly going to be smaller than what I'm accustomed to. And how would this be different than any other night that I'm preparing dinner for my family, except more and albeit fancier foods? So I thought about cooking for my family, and then I thought about my friends who were cooking for themselves alone and the small groups sitting around the Zoom screen, and how strange this was going to be. And I had doubts. But then I reminded myself that it was all what I put into it. So I took out our wedding china and crystal, because usually I consider the hand washing that would have to be done for that group, and I just put it aside. But then this was able to become that special moment, one I had not anticipated. And I made sure to find more moments and to create them. And I hope you were able to do that as well. So suddenly it made sense to me why I recalled this particular intention that I just shared with you. Just like with prayer, cooking a dinner, getting into this is that same type of thing. You enter it slowly and you have questions that arise. What will this be? Is it going to be what I hope for? Will I find moments of meaning? But as I continued step by step and I found my connections grow, I also found more meaning and more purpose in my efforts. And with greater association, I grew in excitement for this Thanksgiving meal I was preparing for just my family. And so too, as we enter into preparation for this Shabbat service, we enter it slowly. Understanding and connection don't come all at once. Our Kabbalat Shabbat psalms and poems set to song are our preparation. We enter these step by step and notice that our connection and our excitement builds. With each one, we find ourselves more entwined deeper and deeper into our community and our prayers until we feel almost whole, almost complete. So let us enter Kabbalat Shabbat slowly, step by step, and begin to feel that Ruach, our spirit, gently rising in celebration.
Lechu niranana ladonai, naria litzur isheinu. Lechu niranana, yai lai 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 lai, Ladonai, yai lai 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 lai, Naria, yai lai 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 lai, Litzur isheinu, yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing unto God, maker of all, pure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, Ladonai, yai lai 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 lai, Naria, yai lai 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 lai, Litzur isheinu, yai lai 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 lai. Shiru ladonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru ladonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru ladonai barechu shemo, basru meyam leyam yeshuato. Shiru ladonai barechu shemo, basru meyam leyam yeshuato. Shiru ladonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru ladonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, umelo, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, umelo, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, umelo, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, yehiram hayam, umelo. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likrat kala, ay 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 penei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likrat kala, ay 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 penei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet ve'elitila. Join me. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likrat kala, ay 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 penei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likrat kala, ay 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 penei Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, hitoreri, kiva ore kumiori, uri, shir daveri, kevoda Adonai, alaich nigla, ay lecha dodi, ay likrat kala, ay penei Shabbat, ay nekabela, ay lecha dodi, ay likrat kala, ay penei Shabbat, ay nekabela.
So thank you to Cantor Aviva for bringing so much joy to our service with those uplifting and joyous melodies.
And
So-
to my mother, who of course interrupted our service. So
and to your mom as well. Hello, Mom. I have been asked to remind you that shortly it's going to be Ask the Clergy. So don't put your questions in the chat yet, but go ahead and start thinking about them, because very soon it will be your opportunity to ask us some questions. But before that, I have a question for you. Do you have a special dish that it is not Thanksgiving without the specific thing? So I want you guys to go ahead and think about and put your answer in the chat. What is that thing in your house? That very special thing that you need for it to really feel like Thanksgiving. So go ahead and put those in. I think many families have this special thing that makes it Thanksgiving for them. It can be a carrot dish, it can be a kind of potato, it can be a type of cranberry sauce, but whatever it is, you need this thing in order for it to really feel like Thanksgiving. In my family, we have to have soup at lunch at Thanksgiving. It's a very specific soup, and we have to eat it with muffins. And they either have to be pumpkin chocolate chip muffins or cornbread muffins. And that is what it is to have Thanksgiving in my house. But one Thanksgiving, my family and I got so intrigued by this idea, this concept, that we wanted to know what everyone's special thing is. So wherever any of us went that particular Thanksgiving, we asked all of the people around us, what do you have at your Thanksgiving table? What is your special thing? And we were amazed at the diversity of answers that we found. For some people, it was pasta. For some people, it was egg rolls. But it didn't matter what it was. For everyone, that special thing was so important to them. Our informal survey showed us that each and every family developed their own very special and unique traditions. Each family also wanted to pass these traditions down to the next generation of people in their family. So we do this all the time with our food. And I'm telling you that my kids know that for their Thanksgiving, when they are grown-ups, they also have to have soup and muffins for Thanksgiving lunch. And I think that we do this very much so with the prayers in Jewish tradition as well. And so much so, especially with the Shema and Ve'ahavta. So let us take all of these traditions and put them together as we together recite the Shema and Ve'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
love your God with every heartbeat,
with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands and keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
So thank you everyone for sharing all of your family traditions. In a different chat, we will have to ask for the recipes, but that will be another time. So this week, I had the privilege of working with a bar mitzvah student whose Torah portion includes the Song of the Sea, which the Israelites sing just after they cross the Red Sea. We talked about the incredible joy that the Israelites must have felt in that moment in time. Not only had the Israelites been slaves for hundreds of years and had gone through the 10 plagues around them, and they'd been chased by Pharaoh's army, but when they reached the Red Sea, they didn't know what was going to happen. They weren't sure it was going to part. And there, now they stood on the other side of the Red Sea. And they experienced this joy, this moment of unadulterated, pure happiness, pure joy. So when I was talking to this bar mitzvah student, I asked him, what are those moments in your life when you have experienced pure joy? So that is the question that I have for all of you. What are those things that bring you pure joy, pure happiness? What were you doing when you felt that joy? And who were you with when you experienced those moments in time? So I invite you now to keep those moments in time in your mind as we join the Israelites' song of joy, their song of freedom, their song of gratitude, the Mi Hamocha.
Yai bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye 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 bim bam, yai bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye 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 bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya bye 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 bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya bye 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 bim bam, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Norati lot o sefele, norati lot o sefele, malechutecha rauvanecha, bokei ayam lifne Moshe uMiriam, ze Eli, anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch, Leolam va'ed, yai bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye 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 bim bam, yai bye bye bim bim bam, ya bye 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 bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya bye 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 bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya bye 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 bim bam. It is so important, as Rabbi Jordana pointed out, for us to find these moments of joy. Sure, we have them and we can think about perhaps when a child was born or the peak of joy that we have felt. But in coming together like this, in sitting perhaps in your living room and just clapping along or really raising your voice with the computer, as ridiculous as it may feel, it inspires joy in each and every one of us, and that is how we create community. So please, as you sing together, don't hesitate to sing out and clap and scroll through the photos and see everyone clapping just a millisecond later than you. We will be together. We will be together when it is safe to do so. But in this moment, it is a joy for me to be able to lead you. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Please join me. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ונפש, שבת ונפש, שבת ונפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
So on Monday night, Rabbi Brett and I led a conversation about how we think about gratitude. We wanted to connect with how we think about during gratitude during Thanksgiving, our week of giving thanks, but especially this year when many of us could not spend the holiday exactly the way that we wanted to. It helped us reframe some of our sadness this year about not spending Thanksgiving with our loved ones, as really comes from a place of thankfulness for the fact that these individuals are in our lives. During the session, we looked at some prayers of thanks in our prayer book. We studied some stories about gratitude from the Talmud, and we shared some thoughts from some Jewish philosophers. I want to share one of those quotes from the Jewish philosopher with you now. It is a quote that I find very meaningful from one of my very favorite philosophers, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. Heschel wrote, "Our goal is to be able to live life in radical amazement and get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that it takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to live life and be amazed." I love this quote because I find it to be so aspirational. It reminds me about how I feel when I see a beautiful sunset or stand with my feet in the sand at the beach. To me, Heschel is talking about those moments of gratitude we can feel when we are really connected to something bigger than ourselves. When we feel the presence of a power or a purpose that is beyond us, but one that helps us bring us to the core of who we are. The second quote that I shared, also one that I love, was written by Martin Buber. He wrote, "When two people relate to each other authentically and humanly, God is the electricity that surges between them." To me, this quote is highlighting the spiritual moment that we can have when we deeply connect with one another. To me, these two quotes combined highlight both the importance of a natural beauty and a higher being, and also the importance of human connection and connecting as community. To me, I find the most spirituality and my most moments of gratitude, these times when I actually really feel amazed, when I am able to have these moments of that take me out of myself, but also ones that I am really able to deeply connect with community. So I invite you now to think about the moments of gratitude in your life. Were you able to experience these moments? Were you able to put these thoughts into prayers, into words? Could you appreciate the moment as it happened? Do you have a reminder of this experience? And who was with you in your moment of gratitude? I invite you now to take a few moments to think about those experiences of gratitude in your life as we spend a few moments of silent prayer together now.
God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham va'anachnu nevarach Yah me'ata ve'ad olam. It's in this moment in our service that we pause and turn our thoughts to those in our lives and in our community in need of healing, whether it be physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. If there is someone for whom you are praying, please go ahead and share their name in the chat so that I may recite their name aloud. As a community, we pray for Ida Belmar, Sam Peterson, Ken Kraus, Julie Siegel Walters, Lonnie McCown, Nancy Bonham, Ruth Baum Biggis, Larry Biggis, Barb Baum Smith, and Jean Fuller. We add to their names the names that you have shared: Larry Graves, Harvey Katz, Naomi Kaufman, Lainey Shipper, Donna Moore, Megan McLaughlin, Addie and family, Kristen and Parker Stoll, Jackie Cohen, Jim Klauser, Wendy Barish and Tracy Zeitlow, Daniel Strongen, Delilah Hastings, Eli and Arlene Chernow, Havi Lev Goldstein and Anna Spalding, Joanna Sloan and Martin Lee Goslin, Larry Graves, Jacob Adelhart, Sue Pickens Owens, Zach Berman, and Kathy Flynn. We join together. Mi shebeirach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We pray for a complete renewal of body and spirit for all of those who are suffering, including anyone suffering from COVID in this moment. Also, I will take a moment to mention that in the chat, Rabbi Brett has shared our emergency phone number that if there is anyone who needs to reach out, needs support, emotional or physical, please don't hesitate to call that number, 317-255-6647. We'll make sure you are connected.
Thank you, Cantor Viva. Your beautiful voice truly brings all of us a sense of calm and a sense of healing. And we feel so fortunate to have you lead us in prayer. To Rabbi Jordana and Rabbi Roxanne, thank you so much for your wonderful words. I hope that we are all feeling very lifted up. As was mentioned earlier in the service, this is a very special night, and that's special for a couple of reasons, actually. At the end of the service, I hope that you will stick around. We have, back by popular demand, we have a fun game night for those who are interested in staying after the service tonight. We're playing Zoom games. It's an opportunity to just see how silly your clergy can make themselves look on the internet. And we will not be recording that section of the evening. But for this moment, we really look forward to the opportunity to just share in a more informal way with all of you certain questions that maybe you've been sitting with for a long time. Give us an opportunity to address big questions, little questions. We have really seen a variety of them. Sometimes people want to know, how do you get that kippah to stay on your head? Different strategies, actually. There are many different strategies. My brother-in-law was doing one of these sessions with us last year, and he talked about the corkscrew technique, that he actually believes that the friction caused by screwing it onto his very bald head makes it stick on. So I'm just using this as an example to show you that there are really no bad questions, but we will do our best to address them. So hopefully you've had a chance to think about them. They can be very profound as well. They don't have to be about the kippot staying on your head. And please take a moment and enter them into the chat. These can be questions about Judaism, about God, about the synagogue. They can be questions about our clergy team or about our community. And I think that the rule is that you can ask any question that you want. We may not answer it, but you can ask any question that you want. We hope to, nothing's off limits. You're welcome to ask us. So if you've had a chance to think of some that you'd like us to address, we'll put them in the chat. And so I'm moderating tonight. So if you don't get questions flowing, then I have my list of questions that I'm going to challenge the clergy with.
How long does the smell of onions stay on your hand after
What's
chopping
that?
onions?
What was that?
How long does the smell of onions stay on your hand after chopping onions?
Is that
What
you're
did the
asking
rabbis
me?
say?
What do the rabbis say?
I'm just proving there's no dumb question. So if I'm asking about
And they-
onions, you all can
They
ask
have
away.
an opinion on that.
Oh, yes, already.
And you got an answer actually from someone in the chat. All right, so here is my first question. And wow, so now, and this is turning into quite a moment here. You're getting some differences of opinion on how to get the smell of lemon off, the smell of onion off your hand. Okay, so all right, I'm going to save my first question here. And Matt, thank you. They're both right. We'll have that contest later in the evening. So someone asked in the chat, how old are the melodies that we sing on Friday night? I know that there's probably a variety here. So Cantor, do you want to take this one?
I am happy to.
And by the way, before you start, let me do say that if you want to private chat me, that you're welcome to do that as well, and that way you don't have to out yourself as having asked the question. Okay, Cantor, please.
Yeah. So great question. So some of our melodies are considered what is called Mi Sinai, which means they came from Sinai. Now, obviously, we don't know that they actually came from Sinai, but the idea is that just like the Torah has been passed down, so too have organizations of pitches or particular melodies. The most famous example I can give you is Kol Nidre. Just the da 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 da. That particular organization of pitches is so old that we don't even have a source for it. On Shabbat, our melodies are pretty old, but the ones that we use, I would say, are like maybe the earliest 18th century. Very often they're attributed to trad. Trad, of course, is traditional. That when you hear Lechu Neranena, that was actually written by someone. And so was Shalom Alechem Malachei Asharet. These all have composers, even though they sound like they're very, very old melodies. So I hope that answered the question, or I kind of talked in circles around it. One of the two.
You did. You answered. Thank you for that. So, and we have some melodies that were written in this generation. So if there are any, burgeoning songwriters out there, should be in touch with us. We're always interested in incorporating new melodies. All right, so the next question that we have in the chat, and I'm going to let both Rabbi Jordana and Rabbi Roxanne take a crack at this one, wink, wink. The question is, what is the Jewish perspective on this very significant universal question of which came first, the chicken or the egg? You guys will have to flip for who gets to go first.
Do you want to go first? Well, I just think it's a very funny question for me to answer because I'm a vegetarian. So chicken does not play a very big role in my life and hasn't done since I was in college. But the Jewish answer is that I would say, very Talmudic, is it's both. That both the chicken and the egg can come first, and you can argue either side. And the house of Shammai and the house of Hillel probably both have different answers, and they're probably both right. So my Jewish answer to that question is both, and be a vegetarian.
Okay, Rabbi Roxanne.
I defer to the wise Rabbi Jordana with that.
I'm sorry. What? No. You don't get to sneak out of that one. We wanna know. Inquiring minds want to know, Rabbi Roxanne.
Well, so in a sense, if Eve was created as a female, although she was created as a human, we all know that females are created with the eggs in them. So it is also possible that they were both created at the same time, just like Eve would have been created with eggs in her.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. I do have to mention that I actually heard a lecture on this at one point, and the argument was it really boiled down to creationism versus evolution. And if you are a creationist, then the chicken must have been created first, because God wouldn't have dropped eggs all over the world. But if you are an evolutionist, then the egg actually came first, because the first chicken would have been born out of an egg that was laid by some other animal that would not have been considered a chicken, right? There you go. So
did you just want us to flounder with this since you already had the answer?
Yeah, right?
I think
Maybe we should be in charge of the questions next time.
So no. Look, you've got three brilliant answers here. You've got the Shaklavataria, the Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai, who would debate this for eternity. Rabbi Roxanne, you kind of blew my mind with this answer that the chicken, the idea of chicken, would have been created with the concept of egg at the same time. that the chicken would have all the eggs inside, and so they were both created together. I like that one. Okay, here's another question, and I'm happy to, Cantor Viva, let you have a crack at this one first. Here is, this is actually apparently a debate happening in this household because I was asked it earlier this week. I don't see them all on the screen now, so they may miss the answer, but which holiday is more important, Sukkot or Hanukkah?
Oh, forget it. Hands down, Sukkot. Are you kidding? Are you talking, I would argue that Sukkot wins every time. Sukkot is my favorite holiday of all time. But Sukkot, I think, is more, well, important is an interesting word, right? If you ask my 6-year-old which one is more important, there is nothing more important than Hanukkah. But Sukkot, Sukkot is a Torah festival. It is right there in the Torah that we built these huts in the desert. The idea is to welcome people, right? All of kind of the halacha or the laws surrounding Sukkot are given to us, that there's a specific way to do the schach, the top, so that we can see the stars. And Sukkot, I also, this is very cantorial of me, but Sukkot comes with Hallel, right? Hallel, of course, is the recitation of Psalms, and Hanukkah only comes with a chetzi Hallel, a half Hallel, which means Hanukkah is as important as Rosh Chodesh, and Sukkot is as important as the other 3 festivals. So I will argue Sukkot, Rabbi. That's my answer.
I have to tell you, what I like about that answer is that I felt like at first it was really difficult, but you kind of peeled back one layer and removed a sort of a shell that was around the answer. And then what you were left with in the middle was far more nutritious. And for those of us who are not vegetarian, my apologies, but that you really ended up with something that was whole and complete and birthed life.
You just need to know that I agree with Tammy. That's what matters, right? I agree with Tammy.
Okay.
But yes.
Now, I'm curious if Rabbi Roxanne or Rabbi Jordan, would either of you like the opportunity to argue for Hanukkah as the most important holiday? No. All right.
I don't think it's that they don't like Hanukkah. I think it's that they don't like arguing with me. No, I'm just...
No, it's not that at all. I would definitely agree what Cantor Aviva said, that if you ask my children which is more important, they would definitely say Hanukkah. But in terms of the actual importance Jewishly of the holiday, I am not going to argue for Hanukkah, but I will say the Hanukkah food is delicious.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, food debates aside, Hanukkah clearly has elevated itself in importance in our society, in American society, its proximity to Christmas. And so I don't think any of us would reject the holiday. It's a wonderful holiday. But I love the Hallel answer as well. So thank you for that. Cantor Viva, did you have a private chat question? Do you want to address that one?
Sure. I got a question that Ben sent to me. Was there a specific artist, song, or piece that drew you towards music, either in general or to inspire you to go to cantorial school? And I will say that I don't have a lot of memories. For some reason, I just don't have a very good memory. I don't know why. But I will never forget the first time I heard Bach's St. Matthew Passion. It involves a double choir and a double orchestra, and I was 8 years old and sang in the children's choir for all 4 hours of that performance. And it's absolutely mind-blowing and riveting. And it was in that moment that I knew that music was what I was supposed to be doing with my life. And Jewish music, we don't have, of course, the canon that that Christian music has in the same way, because we have to remember that for so many years, we were not allowed to kind of freely compose. We weren't allowed to write and hire musicians and orchestras and all of those things. And then, of course, traditionally, it was considered work to have instruments on Shabbat. And so that cuts out that entire world also. But the moment I heard Lewandowski's Enosh, which is a 4-part choral piece from Yizkor that we do every year. It's probably the one at the beginning of the Yizkor service where everyone's going, what is happening? And about 6 minutes in, I'm the one enjoying it. But it is a 4-part choral piece. It's gorgeous. And when I heard it, I thought, wow, there is an entire world of Jewish music that I haven't yet become exposed to. And that was many years ago. But Bach Bach was my gateway drug to music, without a doubt. And Lewandowski is the reason I'm here.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. So this next question I'm going to give to Rabbi Jordana. Can you tell us a little bit about the ritual of kaddish? Someone wants to know, do you have an obligation, or is it okay, even acceptable, to say kaddish, which we say after a loved one has passed, for someone who's not Jewish, and why is that the case?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And my answer is it is 100% okay to say the kaddish for someone, a non-Jewish friend or relative. The kaddish is a prayer that praises God for life. We always think of it. It's a prayer that probably many of us know, Yikadav, Yikadash, so on and so forth. But what we often, because it is so associated with death and mourning, it's a good reminder that's actually a prayer of praise and thanks to God for life, which I think there's something just so beautiful about, thanking God for the life that has just ended. And, hopefully when we're lucky, it has been a long, happy life that has come to a peaceful conclusion. I mean, I know that is not the case, but it can be incredibly inspiring when that is the case. So really the kaddish is for, the mourner, for the person who is still alive, as it's language for them. It's often a ritual. There is a habit that in more traditional circles, we say kaddish every single day. And I know people who have done that and found that very, very meaningful. Even if we don't, there's a tradition that we say it for the whole year after someone has passed. So it really is, I think, about giving us language to express what we're feeling inside, and giving praise and thanks to God for the gift of life that the person had. And it really is for us. And it is a way to honor the person who has died. It is really one of the various highest mitzvahs there are, because there's no way that person can ever pay us back or thank us for that mitzvah. So there are many ways, I think, that there's real brilliance to the way that Judaism deals with mourning and death. And so much of it is helping the mourner get back to life, with a very graduated process that hopefully gets them through the dark days to brighter times, but really honors the memory of their loved one.
All right, thank you for that. Beautiful answer. Rabbi Roxanne, someone had asked, do you think that that it's a common thing among our congregants that people speak Hebrew? And why is Hebrew important? Why is it important for us to learn it? What value does it have to us?
So I think Hebrew is important for us because it connects us to our people, to our prayers, to our community. So if we remember, for a while, Hebrew wasn't the spoken language outside of the synagogue. If we go way back thousands of years ago, people or rabbis were speaking Aramaic, but the language of Hebrew was reserved for the prayers. And as it went on through time, we also saw that oftentimes Yiddish was the language that was used, or Ladino, and Hebrew was kept for prayers, for holy language, the language of our Torah. But over time, and particularly with Israel and the development of Israel, modern Hebrew was embraced and became a living language for today and a spoken language out on the street, although perhaps not Shabbat appropriate speak, but I will let you know, when most Hebrew speakers are cursing, they do not use Hebrew words. They use Arabic or English words for their curses. But so thus keeping Hebrew as a little bit more holy, but it's an everyday language in the streets of Israel. For us here in the United States and Canada, Hebrew's not spoken as a living language by the majority of people, even looking at our religious schools. I wish we had enough time for everyone to speak Hebrew as a living language. I am grateful to a couple of our high schools who actually have Hebrew, modern Hebrew programs in their high schools, but it's not a everyday language. Although I will say many of our congregants do know Hebrew to read from the prayer book, and maybe even with a little work to read from the Torah as well. And that is certainly a connection. I also find Hebrew useful when we're reading from the Torah and can go back to the original language to truly understand the meaning. But just in case you need a little work on your Hebrew, I did hear that I might be teaching another beginning Hebrew class starting in January. Then when we get a whole core of beginners through that, we can then move to the next stage as well. But in case you're thinking about starting and doing from the luxury of your own home, stay tuned to look for a January basic beginning Hebrew class starting.
People are already cheering in the chat for that, Roxanne. People want to do that, and they love that you're maybe teaching. So that's a great fit. Yeah. So thank you for that answer as well. This question, I'm going to actually let all the rabbis chew on it. What is a favorite text of yours? Midrash, but I'm going to expand this to just any favorite text, one that we haven't really used in a while, or maybe ever, one that you haven't necessarily shared with the congregation. This one might take a minute to think about. Either of you have a thought about that?
I have one because I was just working on something for a church that had asked me to do something for them, and I was going to use it, but for the sake of editing, because rabbis do actually edit, we do realize if we're going too long and try to cut back. So I had to take this out. But one of my favorite ones is the midrash that when in the beginning of time, that God went around creating lots of worlds and then destroying them. And when God created this world, God said to Adam, "This is the last world I will create. I leave it in your hands, in your trust." And for me, that just has great power because for me, it signifies how I feel about God creating, but leaving to us with what we're going to do with it. And that immense responsibility we have in our hands to make sure that the world is safe and continues going so we can hand it down to the next generation.
Wonderful. Rabbi Jordana, do you have one for us?
I do. I think I might have mentioned this before, but I have a very, very favorite Torah story. It is the daughters of Zelophehad. They're amazing. They're fabulous. They're wonderful. If I had not had a chance to teach it to you yet, I will, because I love them, love them, love them. But I'm actually not going to talk about that because I have mentioned that here before. What I will talk about is a midrash. And it's really trying to solve the answer about whether Moses, when Moses was at Mount Sinai getting the 10 Commandments, whether Moses was on earth or in heaven, because there's different debates about this, where Moses was actually standing. And my very favorite answer to this question is that God folded heaven over to be onto Mount Sinai, so Moses was on both. And I love that answer because I think it just tells us that nothing is impossible. And if we think creatively and if we're flexible and if we expand our minds, then we can really make anything possible. And I find that really inspiring. So that is one of my very favorite texts.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Midrash is sort of and there's an endless pursuit of midrashim. We could probably talk all night about midrashim that we love, and I feel very fortunate that I've had the opportunity with many of you to sit down on Wednesday mornings. Now we've been doing this for 10 years. We've been looking at original text. Largely, it's been from the Talmud, but we've also, on occasion, had the chance to look at midrashim. And I also have a favorite that I think many of you have studied. But in case that you are not familiar with it, there's a story that is known as the Oven of Achnai, and it's a tale from the Talmud. Achnai is just a name, but he has this oven, and I'm going to give you the very brief version of it. He wants his oven to be kosher. It's made out of bricks, and if you know a little bit about kashrut, you know that bricks, because they're sort of porous, you can't make them kosher. There's just no way to do it once it has been used for something not kosher. But a storm came along and knocked down his brick oven. And so when he showed up in the morning, there were just bricks laying all over the ground. And his question to the rabbi, which is, by the way, the least important part of the story, but his question to the rabbis is, if I take those bricks and I build an oven out of them, is that my same old oven that I used to have, which would mean it's not kosher? Or is it a brand new oven made out of bricks, in which case it's kosher? The rabbis debate back and forth about whether they think this oven could be kosher, but the important part of the story is the end. When the rabbis themselves, as they're debating this, they're actually confronted by God, God's self. God comes down and says, here's the answer. This is the one right way to think about this. And this group of rabbis rejects God's answer. They say, you stay out of it, God. You gave us the Torah, and it is ours to interpret. And the reason I love that story so much is that it was written by the rabbis. And so it seems to be their justification for the interpretations that they're going to offer. It's like the whole point of Torah, which was given at Sinai, was to interpret it. And just as they have the authority to interpret it, that text gives us a powerful permission to interpret it for our day and our time. So that's my favorite text, and there's a lot more in it. There's I'll just tease you with this. There's a rabbi shooting laser beams out of his eyes in that story. So if you'd like to show up on a Wednesday, we can take another look at the Oven of Achnai if you want to hear about rabbis who can shoot laser beams out of their eyes, which who wouldn't want to hear about that? All right, let's do maybe one more question. This is a tricky one. It has been asked whether we would feel comfortable in this environment sharing our favorite Jewish food. It was asked specifically about Hanukkah, the favorite kind of sufganiyah, but that I'm going to save for the end of the service. What's your favorite kind of donut? For now, what's your favorite Jewish food? Cantor Aviva, do you want to start?
When the question is about food, I definitely want to start. Well, I'll start by saying, how are we defining Jewish food? Because I would argue that chicken curry and rice is a traditional Shabbat dinner where I come from. So my mother, all growing up, made chicken curry and rice using coconut milk in the curry instead of the butter and everything else. So there was kind of a kosher spin on it. But she also made homemade challah every week. And I realized that to this day, I have never made challah myself. I have just never attempted because I just feel like it's not hers. So at some point I'm going to have to attempt, but I'm a sucker for challah. What can I say? Fresh challah, fresh out of the oven, it makes the whole house smell amazing. That's what I'm going with. Final answer.
Okay, wow. And I think I speak for everybody here that we want to come over when you have this chicken curry and fresh challah at your house. We will be there. But so you have to wait till after COVID. But please invite us. Rabbi Jordana, do you have a thought for us?
I do. I would say my answer is also challah, because I love the variety of things you can do with challah, all the different fillings you can put in, and the colors you can dye it, and the ways you can braid it, and it does smell amazing. I FaceTimed with one of my sisters earlier today, and she's literally holding her daughter. She's trying to make her challah. So my answer is definitely challah, not only because it's delicious, because of all the ways you can make it even more fun and delicious. So. Challah all the way.
All right, Rabbi Roxanne.
So I don't know if anyone knows what my favorite holiday is.
Yes, we do.
Even
We
though
all
that
do.
holiday is less important than Sukkot, I will admit it, but that doesn't mean it's my favorite.
Rabbi Roxanne is obsessed with this holiday. You have to understand this from the perspective of the staff. We have already
Made
sort
fun
of
of me
about it, and it's not for what, 7 months.
So there's Dundee Awards, if you know The Office, but Dundee Awards given out for IHC. And I received most likely to talk about Purim 8 months before the holiday. So I did receive that award. But that gets to the long and the short, Hamantaschen, because I love that you can make them sweet or savory. So Hamantaschen are my favorite, especially Sisterhood Hamantaschen.
Okay. I think I'm gonna just say pastrami on rye and be done with it, right? Am I right? Yeah. Pastrami on rye, and it's good for any holiday except for Passover when you just have to have pastrami on matzah, but still good. The truth is that I will eat Jewish food in any form. It's my favorite. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I know that there are some questions that we didn't get to. We are more than happy to talk more about these, but really, we just cherish the opportunity to dialogue with one another and with you. We are really missing that about services, just seeing you at Oneg Shabbat, having the opportunity to check in on you and finding out how your day has been, your week has been. So thank you for engaging with us in a little bit of conversation. We're going to now continue with a bit of a word of welcome from our fearless president, Eloise Paul. Shabbat Shalom, Eloise. All right, you're on mute. 1 minute.
How about now?
Yes, hi, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to everybody, and it's so nice to see you all. Thank you to our clergy and our staff for such a lovely service and for letting us learn so many things about Torah and about each of you. So thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements, and that is if you have not yet completed your annual commitment form for 2021, the deadline is this Sunday. And please, we would really appreciate if you were able to do so. You can check yesterday's weekly update email for the link, and we appreciate your committing to remain part of our community. Sisterhood also wants to remind you that this Sunday is also the deadline to be included in the Hanukkah Hellos Friendraiser. So again, check your email for your personal login and don't miss the opportunity to help us bring light to all of the congregation. Also a reminder that the gift shop is stocked and ready for you, ready for all of your Hanukkah shopping. So you can shop either with concierge service and they will bring the goods right to your car, or a chance to shop in store socially distant on Wednesdays and Fridays, and one more Sunday, and that's Sunday, December 6th. So don't forget the Sisterhood gift shop for all of your Hanukkah needs and a lot of other needs too. And lastly, there are still some items needed for our adoptive families, and that deadline is tomorrow. So you can find that sign up on ihcindy.org. Please make sure you read the Thursday weekly update. Don't delete it. Just read it each week. It's our main source of communication. All the online links you can find there. And then lastly, on behalf of all of your board of directors, please know how grateful we are to all of you for creating our caring and supportive community. And I hope that comforts all of us as we isolate from each other physically. So I hope everybody spends the week in radical amazement. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Eloise, and thank you for all you do each and every day for this congregation and our community. So thank you so much. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, life and death. In our congregation, we are observing the period of Shloshim for Sonia Hess, the aunt of Joanne Morris, Charles Chuck Cohen, the husband of Karen Cohen, father of Bradley, Danielle, and Amy, Jill Bongiorno, the mother of Jeff and Kathy Lozier, Maurice Finkel, Diane Goldberg, the wife of Arnie Goldberg, Janet Yosha, mother of Cynthia Yosha Snyder. We are also marking the yahrzeits that fall in our congregation at this time. Samuel Abrams, Alfred Ackerman, Charles Bassler, Saul Blickman, Sylvia Brodsky, Arthur Buchholz, Alvin Cohen, Gilbert Gilly Cohen, Teresa Cohen, Joseph Chillig, Melvin Drucker, Abram Ephraimson, Clara Engelberg, David Fallender, Ernestine Ernie Feeney, Ida Fettner, Yetta Freeman, Max Gelman, Thelma Gettig, Ruben Goldstein, Sarah Goodman, Marcy Greenberg, Joseph Greenberg, Morris Greenberg, Albert Greensberger, Greta Haas, Rose Hayes, Anna Hertzman, Ann Hewitt, John Hurwitz, Dora Jacobson, Eli Jaffe, Seymour Kennis, Walter Kahn, Rose Kreisvogel, Evelyn Krinsky, Ida Leon, Bernard Levine, George Lewis, Claire Littman, Ida Litwack, Losif Malyonvani, Ben Nortman, Theda Paskoff, Maurice Podoloff, Barbara Proven, Matilda Rubin, Abe Schwartz, David Silver, Mark Stein, Joseph Stock, Sarah Weinberg, Sandra Wilson, Myron Bud Wolf, David Zeidman, and we are also remembering Thelma Gettig, John Porter, Dorothy Floridis, Marie Santorello, Bruce Thompson. The thoughts of all of these individuals are with us as we join together in the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's kaddish. Yit kadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yortei v'almich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivrach le'olam omei omaya, Yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yitraman v'yit naseh, v'yit hadar v'yit taleh v'yit halal shemei d'kudsha b'rechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'akol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'akol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. And we add our collective wish for peace for all who dwell on this earth as we say, va'al kol yoshvei tevel, for all who dwell on earth. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may we be filled with gratitude for the lives that inspired us, that touched our souls, and will continue to live on in our memory.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi Roxanne. I am very grateful for our board, which has been picking at their nails, chewing their fingers off with worry about the way that that our congregation is weathering this COVID storm. It is weathering the storm, and it has been really heartwarming to see the way that people have been responding financially to the asks. But thank you, Eloise, for doing the not always, recognized job of keeping it out there, letting people know that we are needing to work together to make sure the synagogue is healthy through this. I also am filled with gratitude for our sisterhood, which has really gone out of their way to make sure that Hanukkah shopping can happen, that the truly beautiful gift shop can be open in some form or another. I know that it hasn't always been easy to kind of figure out how to do that in a safe way. And our task force, who, by the way, continues to meet twice a week to make sure that we're following all the guidelines. I'm just very, very grateful for all of your work. And to you for showing up on this wonderful Shabbat to celebrate with us. I'm also thankful for challah. I think that was at least 2 or 3 of our favorite Jewish foods, right? Sierra, hi, Shabbat Shalom. Hi. Is our challah that we made. Yes. It's wonderful to be able to celebrate with homemade challah. So, by the way, somebody did put in the chat, I think it was Marcia Goldstein, that Jane Butcher, the master baker, Jane Butcher is offering a class to our Life After 50 group. So please check that out. She's going to show us how to make challah if you've never made it before. She's also going to, it looks like, do a special dessert, probably her award-winning strudel, if I had to guess, which I literally have dreams about sometimes, just saying. Okay, so let's start with our challah. Shabbat Shalom, Sierra. And if you have a challah, I hope that you'll raise it up in front of us. We bless our kids while we bless our challah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Shabbat Shalom to you, Sierra. We are going to just finish with a little bit of singing, and then thanks. I'm going to grab the guitar now. So let's do a little Oseh Shalom Bimromav. May God, who makes peace in the heavens, also bring peace to us in our world. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Imiru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. So we are going to offer now everyone the opportunity to wish one another a Shabbat Shalom for just a few minutes. If you want to stay on with us after that in about 5 minutes, we're going to start our Zoom game extravaganza. And the stakes are high because there were winners and losers last time. And those of us who were losers...
Was the winner?
We feel like we have something to prove now. So I hope
it's going to be really fun. We have you in teams and we're going to need your help. So join us.
For now, we're just going to unmute everyone. Please take a moment, wish one another a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You're
Vicky.
welcome to stay on.
Great job, Ruthie, lighting the candles.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, please just stay.
Please stay
Shalom,
on.
Jennifer.
We'll just
Shabbat
say
Shalom,
to
chat.
those who are
Shalom,
leaving,
everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hello.
Oh,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, everybody.
And Rabbi
Shabbat
Brett, what
Shalom.
was that melody that was going to carry us through? I
Oh, that's
dared
right.
him to put
That's right.
something together and
Yeah, that's right. And okay, I can do it. I can do it. Let's see. Ose shalom bimroma. Uya ase
Unmuted.
shalom. Hallelujah. Amen. I do.
Oh, funny.
What do I win for I get extra bonus points in the lightning round.
Starbucks.
All right. Look at my language. Amber Harder, thank you so much for being here.
Knock him in there.
Our truly extraordinary clergy assistant who holds our lives together by the skin of her teeth. Amber has, I think, taken a leadership role in putting the Zoom game program together, and we're grateful for you today and every day, Amber. Nice to see you. So, who's
Amber,
You're welcome. I'm glad to help.
there you are.
I put in the chat what you need in order for us to screen share.
Okay.
So here are my instructions, everyone. You need to go find that pie from yesterday, cut yourself a leftover slice, okay, and get a glass of wine or age-appropriate drink, and come join us with a slice of pie and maybe something to drink, and meet back here in 2 minutes because we're going to screen share a game called Jeopardy. So get excited.
A glass of wine.
Nice.
I think Matt Hastings may have brought kettle corn for all of us. I just asked him if he was going to share with all of us.
Let me see if we can do the recording.
All right, so do we have a minute, Cantor, to grab a beverage? Okay. I don't have to sing the Jeopardy tune to Ose Shalom again?
Jeopardy, Ose Shalom. No, I'll take care of that. You
All right, be right back.
you have a minute to go grab something. If you need something to eat or drink, this is the time. And let me just see if everybody can see my screen. You can see my screen. Okay.
So start preparing with the categories. You might need to do some research.
Oh yeah, brace yourself. And please appreciate the creative names of these categories. All right, Jeopardy, T-1 minute. Let me just confirm with Matt Hastings that we are not live on Facebook anymore. We're not. Okay.
So I will let everyone know if you are on a computer. I'm sorry, I do not know how to tell you to do this on your phone or a tablet, but if you're on a computer, at the top of the screen, you'll see a green line that says you are viewing Cantor Aviva Mirror's screen. Next to it, it says view options. If you click on that and move down to where it says side-by-side mode, and you click on that, you will be able to see at least 5 images on the side of your screen so that you're still get to see people's faces. Just click on side by side mode, and then you can also toggle back and forth for how large you would like that to see faces or not. I like seeing your faces.